Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hopefully you're new here by seeing the title of this video. This is the year you're going to perfect your makeup. I'm starting this series, I want to call it Basics 101, Makeup 101, whatever the title is, you guys would have seen it on here. But the series is going to be, each video will be a focus on whatever it is I'm talking about that day. I don't want to overwhelm people that are just starting to learn, or you know how to do your makeup a little bit, but you want to elevate it. I don't want to overwhelm you with so much information. You're like, because I'll be checking the analytics. Y'all don't be watching the entire video, okay? So let's say one video is going to be about brows. We're only going to talk about and do brows in that video. But before we get there, if you're new here, I'm Bisola. I'm a pro makeup artist, and you can fly me anywhere. You can take me anywhere. Fly me out to do your makeup. I'm here for you. Anyway, today's video, in order for us to get to where we need to be, we are going to tackle the basics. And the basics are the tools. So this video is going to be all about brushes, because in upcoming videos, I want you to be able to execute what I'll be talking about, what I'll be teaching, blah, 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 because you already have the right tools. Now, if you're a beginner in makeup, most likely you already have brushes. This is not a video to encourage you to run out and buy brushes, but if you feel like you may need new ones, or you were already thinking about adding some to your arsenal of makeup gadgetry, your makeup collection, almost, if not every brush that I'm talking about here, it will be in the description box, and I would try to make sure I annotate it on the screen so you can get a visual, and then you can also see what it is if you click the link to buy. But this is not an obligation for you to feel like you have to go out and purchase these brushes. But like I said, if you need brushes, if you need tools to execute the makeup, because I want you to get it right. I also don't want to overwhelm you with so much information. You're like, I need all the brushes. You don't. I'm going to be talking about each brush and what they're good for. If you know you only do minimal makeup, you only take the advice of the minimal tools that you're going to need. I'm not one to use my hands for makeup. I don't like it. I do use my hands when it comes to moisturizers, things like that on my clients, but on myself, applying makeup, I don't have time. Okay, so this video may be long because I don't want to rush. I also want to be very detailed in what I'm talking about. So if you need to grab a pen, record this video, save this video, share with a friend, you can do that. So first, I'm just going to go according to the way I've arranged them here. If you are a beginner, you may not use this kind of brush, but I'm going to show you anyway. And this is an angled brush. If you prefer using gel liner, I do know some people that they just started doing their makeup and they find it easy because you can control it. And when I say gel liner, I mean eyeliner that comes in a pot like this. So you would basically just dip your brush in here and you would apply it on your eyes. So that's what a brush like that is good for. And or if you prefer to use a pomade, like this is good for two different uses, gel eyeliner and brows. So if you prefer to use a pomade for your eyebrows, same concept, you dip that in and do hair-like strokes, because everyone has different use and different reason for how they do their brows. So like my clients that don't have a lot of brow hairs, I don't really use like pencil because it just blends into their skin. I like to use pomade and a brow pen to give hair like texture and stroke. So the next two brushes, they essentially do the same. Oh, let me tell you guys, this was the first brush we mentioned. This is a SEPHORA Collection 22 Pro liner brush, and it's an eyeliner brush. Next, all of these are from like different brands, but majority of the brushes I have, I do believe they are from Sigma and SEPHORA Collection Pro. Okay, so this is a Sigma E30 and this is a pencil blending brush. Do you see the detail in that? This is for, let's say you're doing your eyeliner. This is for if you're blending your eyeshadow, but you want like a precise definition. This is good for that. Let's say you're trying to give a crease color and you want it to be very defined. All the things I'm explaining here, when we get to eyeshadow, since I'm talking about eyeshadow brushes, these are going to be the exact same brushes I used. So when we get to that video, you can see the visual of what I'm explaining now. But this would be great for that. And the other end of that, this, did I mention this already? Yes, Sigma E30, and it's a pencil brush. This next brush is from Morphe, and this is the M562. I don't know if they still make these brushes from Morphe. They probably do, and it's called something else. I got this over 10 or 12 years ago at IMATS. IMATS doesn't even exist anymore, but this looks like this. This is also, I would say, a blending pencil brush because it's so skinny, it's so small. It helps to blend out whatever definition you have. It gives a really, really nice soft smoke, this brush. So if you have smaller eyes, some of the brushes that I have here, they'll probably do the exact same thing, but depending on how small or big your face is, you know what to use. So people that have smaller eyes, even a pencil like this is perfect. Or a brush like this is perfect for them to do their crease. Next, let's move on to when you get to your eyeshadow. So, eyeshadow brushes. I have quite of them here, and I'm going to tell you why. So, the first one I'm going to show you here is a Sephora Collection Pro Crease 27, and this looks like this. Now, this would be great for your one and done eyeshadow application. If you're like, I don't have time to do 13 different eyeshadows on my eye and you just want to pick it up and blend, this is perfect for that. And I will also say this is perfect for people that have bigger eyes. So you don't have to use a smaller brush to then keep going in your eyeshadow and picking up and applying it. So if you have big eyes or big eyelid space, this is perfection for you. The exact same type of brush that would, if you have big eyes or you're just picking up one eyeshadow and you're putting it all over from brow bone to your eye, this would be the brush. And this is a Sigma E28. It's called a detailed buffer brush. And it looks like this. So it's more on the wider flat side, but it still has some fluff to it. So like I said, if you have bigger eyes or you're doing a one and done eyeshadow, this would be perfect. Because brushes like this, they pick up a lot front and back. So you don't have to keep going back in your palette, like I said. Now, if you're like me and you guys can see here, I have smaller or kind of hooded lids. Like you can see if I look all the way up, you see only a little bit of my eyeliner and a little bit of my eyeshadow. But when I look down, you can see the full thing. Sometimes when I do my eyeshadow, I do like to take it up. Today I didn't, but usually I do. These are the brushes that I use for my mobile lid. I don't mind using a bigger brush. Like I said, when I'm doing a one and done eyeshadow, it's rare. I have like 4 different, you may not be able to tell, 4 or 5 different colors on my eyelid right now. So this first one I'm going to show you is a Sephora Collection Pro Shadow 15 brush, and it looks like this. So again, if you have smaller eyes or you want to do detailed work on your eyeshadow, this would be perfect for you. Same with this. I don't know what this is called exactly, but I know this is a Royal Langnickle brush. Royal Langnickle. And I got this maybe 15 years ago from IMATS. Because a lot of the brushes I have, if I don't have a link for where you could get them, it's probably because I bought it at IMATS and it's amazing quality. Like I've had this for so long. You can't even see the name of it anymore. But I know what this is. It's a Royal Langnickle brush and See, let me show you compared to the Sephora one. The Sephora one, the bristles are a little longer, but they do the same thing. So, smaller eyes, and or if you want to do detailed eyeshadow work. These next two, one is bigger, slightly bigger than the other, but they're going to also do the same thing. So this silver or gray one is from IT Cosmetics, and this is from BH Cosmetics. I also got this at IMAX forever ago. This is the 141. I'll give a comparable brush to this. But you guys see how these are denser than the ones I've been showing? If you love to use any of the liquid, cream, or pot eyeshadows, these are perfect for that. They pack a ton in here, and then you don't have to keep going back in your pot or gel or whatever eyeshadow. But these are perfect for liquid because you see how denser they are. They eat up a lot of product in a good way. And then you just get to pounce, pounce, pounce. And they have good spreadability because of how fluffy but dense they are. So I'll say if you want to pick up cream, liquid, gel eyeshadow, any of the eyeshadow that come in pots. If you have smaller eyes, I'll say this. And bigger eyes, I'll say this. Grab a cup of water. Drink some water or wine or whatever. I should have had my little cup of wine here. Anyway, so we're going to be moving on to blending brushes. Now, all of these, they do different things, but similar things. They're all blending. They're all going to blend. But remember what I said, a lot of the smaller brushes, I'll say brushes in general, it just depends on how small your features are or how big your features are. Me as a makeup artist, I know the kind of brush I'm going to pick up when I'm doing a client that has a very tiny forehead. We'll get to that when I get to that. But let's start off with smaller brushes. So this is a Sephora 24 Pro Crease Brush, and it looks like this. So for me, when I'm doing detailed work on my eyes or just blending, this is what I use. I have another one of these. This is what I use for, there's a color right here that blends into the brown and the purple. This is what I use. Because if I used a bigger brush, it would go everywhere, and that's not what I was looking for. So if you have smaller eyes, this would be perfect for your crease blending, for your everyday blending. You wouldn't need anything bigger than this. These two are essentially going to do the same, but I wanted to show you guys both anyway. This is the Sigma E49 Medium Tapered Blending. That looks like this. And the next one is the Sephora Collection Pro Crease 19. And that looks like this. So these are both side by side. This is Sigma. This is Sephora Collection. And then I'm going to let you see. So I like this also for good everyday blending. It gives a very, very, very diffused crease color, or crease blend, should I say. And there's another brush. I don't have it with me here. We're going to get to those brushes later down the line. When you feel like you've perfected your eye look, we'll get to that because it's levels to what we're doing here. But they're tapered brushes that they give more of a pencil where you could also do detailed blending. But these are what this looks like. Just so y'all see. Okay. Next is, just makes me sad. This is a Langnickle brush. Now, I have something similar in another brand, but this, I love this brush. It's the color blend brush. So if this is the same idea as this, like the 24 from Sephora Collection, but this is bigger. This covers more eyelid space. and blending, because this is a blending brush. But this is also one of those things you can use for a one and done eyeshadow where you could just blend it seamlessly. Now, if you have bigger eyes, this is just, you just go in there, blend, blend, blend. You see how it fits on my eyes? So I'll just go back and forth, back and forth. You see how I'm able to apply a lot of color here with this type, this size compared to a brush that's this small. You see the difference? Let me try to. And just let me put it on my cheek. You guys see the difference? So this fits in here smaller. I can do a little bit of more detailed work. This is just like taking up the whole space. Now, the last blending brush I'm going to show you for the eyes is bigger than all the ones I just showed you. See how fluffier it is compared to the Langnickle one? So essentially, one and done if you have bigger eyes. But if you have bigger eyes, this is the perfect blending brush for you. This style and this size. And I don't know what number this, oh, just kidding. This is Eyes 200 and this is from Kiko Milano. And I bought this a really long time ago at the Kiko store. It was in the Oculus World Trade Center. That's where I got this from. I don't know if it still exists there, but their brushes are really nice. But yeah, this is really great for just helping to diffuse your eyeshadow if you have larger eyes, or a lot of blending brushes for me, if they're wider or bigger like this, and I'm in a rush and I'm not doing anything else in my eyes, I just, because I don't really care about, I'm not adding anything else to my eyes. But if you have bigger eyes, this would be ideal. Smaller eyes, this would be ideal. So while makeup essentially, to me, makeup is not a one size fit all. You have to know what works for you, because a lot of the times what works for me may not work for you. The steps I take to put on my makeup, when people see it, they be like, that's a lot for you. For me, this is normal. Okay. So let's move on to bigger brushes now. So these three, essentially, they're just differently shaped, but to me, they do the same things. And these are these fiber brushes. You see the top. So if you love tinted moisturizer so I use this brush. This is my daily brush for my primer, because like I said, I don't like digging my hands in stuff. So I use it with my blurring balm from Danessa Myricks Universal. I just use this to apply all over my face. So this is good for that. But if you don't use this for foundation, if you feel like you get streaks in your foundation and you use brushes like this, this is why. You see how this has very lightweight and it's more, dang, how do I explain this? It's just more, it's not as dense as the foundation brushes I'm going to show you guys soon. It's very lightweight. So if you use anything that's like a skin tint, tinted moisturizer, serum foundations, anything that's that thin, you want to use these kind of brushes. This first one here, I have a lot of Sigma brushes, y'all. And when they have a collaboration, like with the Disney collection that they do, they always send their brushes. Anyway, so this is the F53 Air. This is a contour brush or blush brush. I'm not using it for that. No. I use this on my clients, and now all these brushes gotta get rewashed because I'm touching it and sanitized. But just any brushes like this, I use it for skin tint. But in my kit, because I don't use skin tint on clients, I use foundation. A lot of my foundation are liquid or cream. This is skincare for my clients. So I always put it all over, and I use this for skincare and primer. So, but for you, if you use skin tints, these will be your best friends. I know some people prefer to use their fingers for skin tints. I will actually say that's actually a great idea. It doesn't disappear anywhere. It just blends into your skin beautifully. But if you're like me and you don't like makeup touching your fingers like that, this would be ideal for you. Don't use, what I just say, don't use this for foundation. Okay? Okay. So next, this, it would be your preference, depending on how you like to put your makeup on. But foundation brushes like this that are flat, I love going in with this to apply liquid foundation. And then I go in with a denser brush to buff it out. I don't always do that, but it's certain foundations that I like to use this. That, or I use this with a serum. So this would also be great for people that use skin tints. This would be ideal for you guys. So because it's flat, it's not like a dense brush. It's not absorbing so much makeup because it's just going to apply on your skin and stay on your skin, opposed to just being drenched in the brush. Let's move on to foundation brushes. I have quite some here, and I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as I can. So essentially, all of these do the same things. They're dense. This is the least dense one. I mentioned this. The other fiber brush I mentioned here is from Delium Tools 995. And this is another fiber brush. And the third one is my Rare Beauty brush. This is also from Royal Langnickle, and it says it's a foundation brush. The flat one I showed you guys. So this is the Sephora Collection Pro 56 brush. It looks like this. I'll say if you're one of those people that just likes to use a concealer all over your face, I would say this is a good one. It's nice and fluffy. It's not as dense as the other ones I'll show you guys, just so you see what that looks like. So this is really good. This is also good for when I'm doing detailed detailed work on my client's face. I just take my time, I'm buffing each area. The next three, honestly, they do the same thing. They do the same thing. However, when I mentioned the brushes about eyes is the same as your face. We all don't have the same face shape and width. Some people's faces are smaller. Some people's faces are bigger. You don't want to use a smaller brush if you have a bigger, wider face, because then you're just like, you're working and working and working. And it's like, you could just use a bigger brush that works for your face size. So you see this Langnickle brush? Let me see how big and round. It's also angled just a little bit, but it's very dense. I know it's black. I'm trying to show you guys in a better way. But this is a NARS. Does it say what it is? It doesn't say. But it's a foundation brush to me. They're essentially the same, but you can see the size difference in the Langnickle one and then the NARS one. This next one I have here is Lawless, and is their foundation brush. It's also just really nice, fluffy, but it's also dense. So all of these, if you're using medium to full coverage foundation, these would be perfect and ideal for those kinds of foundation. I would never tell you to use any of these type of brushes that are so dense for a skin tint, because it's going to be like a sponge. It's just going to swallow it. Majority of your product is going to sit in here, and you don't really want that. So foundation brushes, I think it's one of the easier things that you can figure out what you want. It's just, if you use medium to full or just even medium coverage foundation, any brush that's nice and dense, because it allows you to buff and keep working in. Next, let's move on to concealer. So if you're somebody that prefers using brushes for your concealer, I use all methods. Depending on what I'm doing, I use all methods. So I use a sponge, I use a brush. Sometimes I even use my finger to like push up, depending on the skin and the under eye that I'm working on. But If you love, I mentioned all the brushes. Yep. So if you are a brush concealer kind of person, I would recommend this F64, and this is a soft blend concealer brush. So if you have a lot of, like, you see how I kind of have good amount of real estate from my under eye to my cheek. So I use this to blend. There's some people though, their cheek and under eye, there's not really that much space here. Everything is just smaller. I just use a sponge. I don't use a brush like this. Another one I would recommend, I don't even see the name on here, but it's a concealer brush from Rare Beauty. I want you guys to see the shape of this. It's kind of like your finger. Like, does that make any sense? So I like how precise it is. So when you need to go under your eye, you can just get all up in there. So this is really, really great for that. It's just great for detailed work, helping smoothing your concealer. I would say the first Sigma one I mentioned, if you use a concealer that's more on the thicker side or a cream concealer, this is perfect for that because it's not going to eat up your concealers that are so thin and liquidy. This is great for anything that has good density as far as like the thickness goes in your concealer. This is great for that. I would say the same for this as well. I say this is great for any size of your face, so to speak. Another one that I think is perfect for personal use. I also use this on my clients. All of these brushes are things I have double or quadruple of in my kit and on myself. I don't put anything in my kit that I don't use for myself because I need to be able to trust that it works before I put it in my kit. Okay? Because the clients deserves a great experience. It's this dual-ended. I usually don't like dual-ended brushes, but some of them, they just eat so bad. This is the Rose Ink dual concealer brush. And I would say this is perfect for if you have, remember what I was talking about earlier, if you have smaller features or smaller faces in general, you can just blend, 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 buff, 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 and that would be ideal. Same for the other side, it's just a little bigger. And this is very much like the Rare Beauty one, but you can see the Rare Beauty one is bigger. Last but not least, I have this flat concealer brush. Very, very flat. You can see. And this is, what is this? This is 03. This is a Tom Ford 03 brush. I would say this is great for detailed work here when you're carving out. If you're like me, you still like to carve out your brows. This is great for that. And sometimes I love doing that because I know I go back in to add texture for brows. But this is also good for if you like thin, because it's not going to soak up anything. It's so thin. If you want to pick up something very thin or you just want to apply very precisely under your eye. So that's good for that. And it's good for your brow bone area when you're carving out your brow with concealer and the top. Self-explanatory. And like I said, this is the Tom Ford 03 brush. This, I'm going to move on quickly because maybe not everyone does this, but I do. When you're dusting off powder under your eye, I don't use a big brush because then it's going to just mess up everything I have going on. I use brushes that are small like this, but they're nice and fluffy. This is a BH Cosmetics V17. Child, I got this at IMAX. I know that for a fact. But there are other brands. Like I said, if I can't find it to link it for you guys, I would show you another brand that has it. This next one is Sigma F03 High Cheekbone Highlighter. I use this. I've used this for highlighter, and I've used it to sweep off powder. It's interchangeable. But I would say just something soft and small like this is good for just sweeping away. Like if I applied powder, I just use it to sweep away and it gets the job done. Next, we're going to talk about cream blushes and cream bronzer brushes. Bronzer and blushes. I'm just going to go over anything that's dense like this and angled. If you have a cream blush, and cream bronzer. This is ideal. This is also supposed to be a foundation brush, but I prefer it for cream blushes and bronzers. And this is the House Labs brush. It doesn't have a name and or number, but it doesn't have to be the same brand I'm showing you guys. It's just this idea and the concept. But you see how this is dense? So anything that's like a dense or thicker cream for your brush, oh my God, for your blush and your bronzer. Trying to say blush and I'm always saying blush. I'm always saying brush, please. Did I mention? Yep, I mentioned what brush that is. So this is the Sephora Collection Pro Blush 99. Now, I would also use this to pick up cream and liquid kind of bronzer and blush. But I like this specifically for blush and the other one for bronzer because I like the shape of this and how it lays. Please stop playing with me. And how it lays on the face when I pick it up. So if you're someone that enjoys layering your blush, you may not be there yet. Don't worry. Everything is going to be taught. I'm just showing you guys, you know, these are just the basics. Believe it or not, basics. These do the exact same thing, but you can see size difference. Again, it goes back to the size of your face, the size of your eyes, the size of just your features. I love this when someone has like, how do I explain it? If you're like me and you have big cheeks, I love this because I just need to go in. I need to go in with whatever product I'm picking up and just 1, 2, swoop. If you have smaller cheeks or smaller features, I will use something like this, but they essentially do the same thing, nice and fluffy. This bigger one is called Dream Blush. It's from Sigma. It doesn't have a number. That's interesting. But you can see the difference. So, blush, powder blush, this is great. Great, great, great. We're narrowing it down. I know this is long, but we're narrowing it down. We're going to move on to powder. Now, I have 4 different brushes here. 2 of them are large and 2 of them are more on the medium, smaller size. So let's start. Here I have, this is also Sigma. It doesn't have a number, but this is the Dream Powder Perfector. Look how nice and small this is. But it's so fluffy. It's so fluffy. So if you have a smaller face, this is perfect for you. And I will also say, actually, this is great for if you have a powder contour you want to use. This is also nice for that because it's so fluffy and very, very soft. Another one that's perfection for especially bronzer and contour is this Rare Beauty one. It's just so soft. It's like a cloud. And I like how it's precise, you see, like if I'm doing a contour. But the edges here, the way they're tapered, it just diffuses and softens everything if I were going like this. So I really, really, really love that. Now, did I mention? Yep, that was Rare Beauty. I'm like, did I mention what that was? Now, a brush like this is something I'll recommend because you can't get this anymore. And this was the limited edition before Mario came out with his brand. This is the Makeup by Mario and Sephora collaboration powder brush. This is the one that was gold. And this is just a perfect powder brush. It's just so soft. Even me doing this is just, it's so soft. It's so, like, you can see, if I try to shake it, you guys can see, just, that's how soft it is. It's very, like, opposed to a brush that's, like, very dense. You see how, like, this is shaking and this is not. So this is a really, really great powder brush. the last brush I have, not the last tool, but the last brush I have here. Now, I'm going to say this. Please, nobody get offended. But if you have a larger face, specifically if you have a large forehead, this is the most perfect brush for you, especially if you like to use bronzer. Oh my God. This is the Sigma F78 Ultimate Bronze. And I'll also say, see, this is what this looks like compared to the Mario powder brush. Like, look how massive that is. It's pretty big. So I would say if you have any of those bronzers that come in a big pan, like the Charlotte Tilbury one, the Armani one, who else has like a wide bronzer? There's just the old Marc Jacobs one. Y'all know what I'm talking about. These are the perfect type of brushes that fit into that, and it doesn't feel like your product is going everywhere because this is going to catch all of that powder. But imagine, let me try to find a smaller. So for me, if I were doing bronzer on my face, I would never use this brush. It takes up my, like if I were going like this, it takes up my whole entire, it's covering where I don't want it to. This brush is reaching on my brows, into my hair, opposed to this. You see how it just fits? And if I were coming this way, it's still just in my perimeter, opposed to this, it's taking up my whole forehead. So if you have a bigger forehead, instead of going back in, is essentially kind of like the smaller brushes. I feel like I need to sneeze. If you have like just like much larger cheeks and forehead and your hairline and your brow and not like one finger space difference, this is perfect for you. You can, I mean, it says bronzer, but you could also use this as a powder brush. I use this interchangeably depending on the client and what I'm using it for. But when it comes to powder and bronzer, if I know I have a lot of area to cover, if I'm putting bronzer and powder on the chest, I love using brushes like this. But if you are like, you know, some of the clients I just mentioned, like you have a bigger forehead, just bigger retail space on your face, this is perfect. So you just go in and just, psh, psh, psh. But me, if I do this, y'all look, I'm gonna, where am I going? Where am I going? But for you to be doing basic stuff, you're not going to need all these brushes. Remember, it's just you pick what works for your size, for the size of your face and what you feel like you need on a daily basis. I just wanted to show each type of brush that can work for different people. So I'm not saying one person is using all of these brushes. I don't. But we're not doing the same things, okay? I use all these brushes for different clients, you know. But I wanted to show you, just because I'm telling you, I showed you 4 or 5 different blending brushes. You don't need all of that for your, you know, for your everyday use, for your eye shape, for your eye size. So just take what you need and implement it in your journey going forward, okay? Because you're gonna be learning stuff. Last but not least are sponges and puffs. Listen, they sell a bunch of these everywhere. The one I happen to have a bunch of is Huda Beauty, because anytime Huda has sent me anything, they come with the puff, and I love them. I love them. I have so much. So I only use this size for my face. I use this size for my face all over like my outer face, and I use this mini size for my under eye. See how tiny it is? And it just fits right here. Perfect. You can, like I said, it doesn't have to be the Huda Beauty one. You can find them everywhere, but we'll get to that when we need to get to that. The 3 sponges I would recommend. I'm a beauty blender girl through and through. Through and through. I love Beauty Blender, the original Beauty Blender. I love it so much. Now, almost every brand has their own sponge. Nothing compares. Argue with your friends. The next best thing, though, to me, is the Real Techniques one, and it looks like this. But that is orange. I'll pop it on the screen. Another one that's the next closest best thing, and I really love the sponge when I wet. Oh my God, it's so good. Is the CL brush, not brush, sponge. And that's what you guys are seeing here. And you know, the Beauty Blender, you already know. When you wet it, it expands. I have a bunch of the pink ones. I have a bunch of the black ones. I like to use the black one for really creamy stuff when I'm blending with that. But if you're someone like me, you're like, I'm going to use a brush to blend out my concealer, but you want it to look perfectly airbrushed and no, you can't, just blurred. Then I go with my damp, not wet, my damp Beauty Blender, and I just blend everything together where you're not seeing where one thing starts or stops. And you don't need all of these things. If you feel like you only want to use the puff, blend your concealer with your brush, and then go with your sponge if you want to. And or if you spread your concealer enough, you could just use this, damp, not wet, damp, completely damp, preferably with warm water. The warm water helps one soften this better, I think. And the warmth from the sponge, just warm water. Hot water, but by the time you use it, it's warm and it's just really, really good. So you're gonna, the next video we're gonna do is probably going to be brows. But now you know, whenever I'm going to be teaching and show you how to do a certain thing, you already have your brushes prepped. You have your brushes prepped. And in the beginning of the video, I'm going to tell you what we are doing in the video. So you have a chance to gather everything that you will need. You probably won't need too much because each video is going to be a focus, like I said. And I hope you guys are excited for this series because I'm excited to create it. I've been wanting to do this for a while. My little sister is one of those people. She's learning how to perfect her makeup. She knows how to do makeup, but she's learning how to perfect it. So everyone, I'm having my little sister is everyone out there that is always having different types of questions. And I want to be able to answer it in each video so you're not overwhelmed. Also, in my day-to-day, if I have on makeup, I'm mostly always full beat, because I'm a makeup artist. My face is my calling card. It's my business card. And people are always asking how to get their makeup like mine, but they want to do it in 15 minutes. It's not possible. It's not possible. Anyway, but it could be possible for you once you perfected your makeup, because now you know how to use your products and your tools and how to apply it in a hurry. So yeah, I'm really excited for this. Let me know what you are eager to learn in the comment section, or what you feel like you struggle with the most. Because I also don't just want to be putting out these videos and you guys are like, I already know how to do that. I already know. I want to know what you really, really struggle with, because that probably will be, it'll let me know what to put very, 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 very detailed answers. Especially if you have a question about it, I'll know to work it into what I'm teaching. Does that make sense? It makes sense. That's it. You see me in the next one. Bye.